What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down what's happening to the economic calendar affecting the markets, what's going on with the big tech earnings that just came out, and how they may affect Tesla, and why it's very possible for the market to see some bullish price action going into tomorrow. But before I break anything down all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. Firstly, I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100 into the account, you are guaranteed up to 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed up to 15 free stocks, and the offer ends very soon. Anyways, looking at the market, we're seeing a lot of stocks making some crazy moves as we had the big tech earnings that just came out. I'm going to break down how this could affect the market for tomorrow. Let me first mention some data though. In the morning, an hour before the market opens, we have the non-farm payrolls report, the unemployment rate, the labor force participation rate, and lots of labor data coming out 1 hour before the market opens once again at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I'll be talking about how the numbers look tomorrow. Then after that, we have one more set of data at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or 30 minutes after the market opens. We have the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Reports, the 5-year inflationary expectations, and other reports coming out from Michigan. We'll be looking at these as well 30 minutes after the market opens, and we'll see what this causes for the markets. But I want to call out something very important. We also have some big tech earnings that have just come out, and we're seeing some very, very crazy moves. Now we had Apple, Amazon, and Meta just report their earnings. Let's break down how things are looking. So right now, Apple has fallen as a result of their earnings. They beat on earnings. Most of their earnings were quite good, but their outlook is suggesting weaker iPhone sales than what a lot of these investors want. We actually saw a 13% decline in sales in China due to many geopolitical issues, other regulations, and such. But despite that, their earnings were pretty good. They beat on EPS, they beat on revenue. iPhone revenue was a beat, Mac revenue was a beat, iPad revenue was a little bit lower than expected, and everything else was a beat, especially their gross margins, not bad whatsoever. Apple did not give guidance for the current quarter ending in June, but their sales were not the best in China, and as a result, that's not really enough to satisfy investors. So right now, Apple, let me find Apple real quick. We're down about 3.2%. It's not that bad, but this could add to some downwards pressure for the market as Apple's barely holding 180. Now, why is the market still green though? And that's because, remember, Apple's only down 3%, but there are other companies announcing earnings, and their moves are trumping that of Apple. Another company announcing earnings is Amazon, and Amazon's actually up 7% right now. So this is actually making a bigger move, trying to hold 170. Because Amazon is making a bigger move than Apple, this will have a bigger effect on the markets, at least for now. So what's happening with Amazon? They had better than expected results as revenue jumps 14%, beating expectations. Also, their optimistic guidance for the first quarter has come out, so we're looking pretty optimistic and pretty good for Q1. They beat on EPS, they beat on revenue, Amazon Web Services met expectations, and advertising is stronger than expected. The first quarter sales were relatively strong, showing lots and lots of growth, not to mention a nice increase in their profits. So not bad from Amazon, despite the fact that they laid off 27,000 employees between late 2022 and mid 2023. Earnings were pretty strong, and their growth projection is looking pretty good and optimistic for the next quarter. Good guidance and good earnings is great for Amazon. Now, Meta was a big winner. The shares were up 15%. They're currently up 14 point something percent after their profit has tripled, and they announced their first ever dividend, which is strong, strong, strong earnings. So it came out, we got basically better than expected results. First ever dividend, strong looking growth for the fourth quarter as sales are up 25%. Expenses are down 8% year over year, which is pretty good for them. Beating on EPS, beating on revenue, daily active excuse me, guys, I apologize. Daily active users are at 2.11 billion above expectations. Monthly active users at 3.07 billion above expectations. Everything was a beat. Revenue is up 25%. And with net income tripling, this is great for them. They're going to be paying their investors a dividend of 50 cents a share on March 26th. Bullish, bullish news. So remember, Meta is up 15%. Amazon's up 7%. Apple is down 3%. So, what do you think is going to affect the market more? Here's the answer, guys. The market is more likely to be impacted by Meta and Amazon. Amazon's up 7%, Meta's up 14%, Apple's only down 3%. those stocks are going to make the bigger moves, and they're going to dictate the way the market is moving, causing more upside. Now, I initially thought that Jerome Powell did enough to actually rug pull the markets, and that was true. But now the market's making a full U-turn. The big tech earnings are causing another rally, and we could just continue to go higher from here. Looks like the market's going to break another new all-time high, and we have more upside coming very, very soon. I also want to mention that for SPY, if you look at the options chain for tomorrow, we have just over 364,000 calls expiring, and we have over 850,000 puts expiring. So a 2.33 puts to call ratio. The majority of people and institutions are shorting the market, betting the stock market is going to tank tomorrow. What's going to happen though? The market makers are incentivized to try to hold the market up or even squeeze shorts, causing another squeeze, another pump. It's very likely we might see that, and the option chain suggests that's very possible as well. Now, what about for Tesla? How are things looking? Some news has come out that there was a big EV range test, and Tesla did not do as well according to the reports. Basically, compared to what the advertised numbers were like, Tesla's range is a lot lower than what many people were projecting for the Model 3. The advertised range was around 397 miles and actually did 29% less than that when tested. Now, this could depend on the terrains and different factors. So I don't necessarily think that Tesla's entirely just lying. I think they tend to give the best possible numbers in the best conditions just to get as many sales. But you could see all the other EVs had similar results. The actual numbers were like 30% lower, 13% lower, 25% lower. So Tesla's not the only one that has, this quote unquote issue, but it's not the end of the world because I still think that Teslas have pretty good ranges. The ranges are yet to increase as time goes on, and we're going to see better ranges as time goes on, especially as Tesla improves their battery technology. In fact, we have some new news that came out about their battery development, which is very, very big. Tesla's planning on essentially building a new LFP battery cell factory with the CATL machines. This is another very important company which is known for its battery production. This is very, very important right now. You can see that Tesla has this small facilities trying to build in Nevada because of regulations that have been going on involving China. And Tesla's going to basically use the technology to improve uh, their battery cells, try to build more of them, and try to do this with the lithium ion batteries, basically. So that's good for Tesla. With this happening, because of the fact that there are new regulations coming out involving China, this could be big for them. This could help reduce some costs. So this could be a pretty good piece of news for Tesla. So we'll see how this goes for them. That's pretty decent. Volume is currently at 92 million as of right now. A little bit low on volume, but generally excuse me, guys, I apologize. Generally, volume kind of like decreases right before we get another increase. And the short volume is still a little bit low. It's trying to increase a little bit. It's dropped a little bit compared to before, so it's not looking too bad. The price price ratio is down as of right now, so we'll see if this improves. Don't forget that when it comes to seasonality, for Friday, Tesla tends to be green about 49% of the time. Watch for volatility around 11 a.m., 2 p.m., and 3 p.m. And finally, don't forget that for the month of February, it tends to be a weaker month for Tesla historically. I personally think that the market has a correction coming. I think the market's going to see some downside in the future. Okay, I still hold that view. But the thing is, that's going to be a couple of months into the future. And right now, I don't think that Tesla and the market are ready for this big pullback yet. I think that these big tech stocks have opened the gates for another rally, and the market may continue to push as time goes on. So, what do I think about Tesla? We got a nice double bottom like formation. I think that Tesla's going to attempt to hold this resistance. We're going to be watching this resistance right over here around this 190 area. We're going to be watching that very carefully to see how Tesla does. And I think that there is potential for Tesla to try to break above this, especially as the market pushes, because when you look at Tesla on the 4-hour time frame, we have a potential bullish crossover on the PPO, and I think that Tesla is going to try to break above the 20 EMA. We could be looking for a push above 193, the high right here. If we break that, our target is going to be near the 4-hour 50 EMA at this 196.9 area, maybe a little bit lower by tomorrow morning. So I think the 196 range is going to be tested for Tesla if we continue to break above 190. So watch for this double bottom like formation pan out. Tesla could be forming like a George W where we have like this double bottom. And I think that it's making higher highs and higher lows. So we have a nice uptrend potentially being established. Tesla should try to break 190 and start pushing higher. If we grab liquidity, watch 188 as support, 186.5, 184, and 182. We could come down just a bit, then start pushing up higher. If we break 190, look for a bigger push. Part of why I think Tesla might see some upside tomorrow is because of SPY. SPY is looking very strong. Now, I was in the camp of the fact that the market had downside coming, but my view has shifted because of the big tech earnings and because the market makers have made adjustments due to the fact that we're seeing a lot of changes in the option positioning. So, as long as we break 492.5, I think SPY is going to try to push it for 495 tomorrow. If we break that, watch 497 and 500 as resistance levels. For support, watch 491, basically 491.5. If we lose that, there's 490 coming. I think SPY might come down, grab liquidity, and start pushing up higher to 492.5. We might see this thing squeeze and start breaking the all-time high again. And I think that SPY is going to try to approach 495 very soon because of the big tech earnings. We're nearing a very bullish-looking crossover on the PPO, which I think is going to push this higher. 495 looks like a good target. I think SPY is going to attempt to break out temporarily. Now, I'm not saying this is going to last forever. I'm not a massive perma bull. I'm not saying buy at these high levels. I'm simply saying I think SPY could push higher for an extended period of time. I still think there might be downside later on in March, going into April and May. But for now, the market's not ready to pull back. We might just see more upside. For the triple Q, this thing is trying to push. We're currently at just under 426. We're about to get a bullish cross in the PPO. We're going to be watching to see how the QQQ tries to pump. On the QQQ, we'll see if we try to break out above 427. If we break that, watch 429 to 430. In my opinion, this chart's making higher highs and higher lows. A nice accumulation is formed. And I think the full measured move shows we're going to be retesting this high up here. So I favor the bulls a bit more. For bearish, you want to see it lose 425 then 423.8. But I don't really favor that. I favor the upside. I think 429 plus is coming and eventually 430. And it may try to go for a new all-time high thanks to Meta and Amazon. So I favor the upside a little bit more. For Nvidia, I think Nvidia is looking bullish right now, trying to break its all-time high. Nvidia does not look like it's done quite yet. The 4-hour is showing a big pump that's happening. We just got a bullish cross in the PPO again. Going to be looking for 642 or 641.5 as resistance to 642. If we break that, watch 645, 647, and 650 as resistance levels. Watch support where the previous breakout area happens to be at 633. If we lose that, there's 632, 628, eventually this breakout zone at 623. I think that this is looking bullish. I even said this yesterday that we had a nice accumulation forming right over here, and this might cause the Nvidia to start pushing higher towards 642 plus. I think this might help the QQQ. I think we're going to break an all-time high, and I think 645 is a nice target. For Apple still has earnings coming out. We'll see how this thing holds 180. As long as we hold above 180, we could try to just base here and then make our way slowly up. If we lose 180, watch 178. So we'll be watching that carefully. We're still waiting for earnings, so we'll just have to see how it goes. I don't expect a massive move, though. I still think the market is going to be more dictated by the other tech stocks. For a couple of others, for SoFi, we're looking kind of bullish. We're looking kind of flat right now. I think we're going to test 7.83. Trade sideways, maybe push a little higher, so watch that resistance very carefully. For the IWM Russell 2000, going to be looking for a push as well. Daily is looking pretty good as we got a nice liquidity grab. Going to be looking for this thing to try to get up towards resistance up here at 197. We have a bullish looking daily candlestick, so watch 197 to be tested. The IWM is looking pretty darn good. For Microsoft, the daily is showing some life. We might try to push our way back up to 407 again. If we break this, going to be looking for this thing to get up to 412. It looks bullish for now, just temporarily. AMD may be testing 175 all over again, right where this previous high was. If we break that, so I'm going to be looking at the next wick at 178. AMD is looking a bit more bullish in my opinion. The VIX got a big rejection on the daily. Going to be looking for this thing to come down to 13.6, 13.4. And if we lose 13.4, a bigger drop is coming to the 12s. This is looking a little bearish on the daily, so watch this drop, and this could get dragged down because of the market pushing. The dollar got a big rejection here. It's looking bearish on the daily. If we keep sinking, we're going to be looking for 102.7. We're looking a bit more bearish on the daily and the dollar index, so that could be bullish for the stock market. For Coinbase, we're looking like we're going to try to retest 132. If it breaks this, we're going to be looking for 134. Might try to push just a little bit as we look a little indecisive, but I still think there's potential. For Google, watch it hold the 50 EMA. As long as we hold this, we could be looking for 146 to be retested. A small little pop could be coming after this thing dropped very hard, too fast. The 50 EMA is holding for now. As long as we don't lose 142, we could see this thing rebound it back up to 145 to 146.2. For Amazon, we're still at 7% to the upside, holding up nicely. We're trying to get back above 175, I believe it is, where we tested resistance. We're still at 170. We'll see if this thing can hold this. It's still holding up nicely. This is still bullish for the markets. And Meta is still taking off, guys. It's not done yet. We'll see if this thing can try to break above 453. If we break that, 455 is coming next, and another high for this thing. And this is bullish as well, dragging the market up. So Amazon pumping more than Aapl, and then Meta pumping like crazy is playing a bigger role in helping the markets push higher. So there's a good chance we might see this have a ripple effect throughout the markets. And we're going to be watching to see if Tesla could break 190. If we do so, we could be making our moves up to the higher levels, to the mid 190s very soon. And this might happen as soon as tomorrow. So we might see a nice pump on Tesla. Let's watch and see how we hold resistance. With that being said, thank you all so much for listening. Have a great day, guys. Remain calm, cool, and collected, and I'll see you guys in the next one very, very soon. Thank you, and peace out.